Hey, this is your help video for 3.2 absolute value. Let's jump in. All right, first thing we need to know is what in the heck are these vertical bars right here? What do they mean? They mean absolute value. Of course, that doesn't help you much. Let's talk about what absolute value means. Absolute value means how far is something from zero. So if we draw a number line, here's zero, and we say, how far is negative 107? How far is that from zero? Well, I think that if you were to walk this way, you'd walk 107 spots on the number line, right? If we kind of marked out all the numbers there, I think you'd go 107. So the answer is, how far is negative 107 from zero? 107. Let's think about this another couple ways. So all my stuff jumped around here. So what we mean by absolute value is, what is the distance? So you might say, well, wait, this is crazy. No. You use it all the time. So when I drive to work, I live in Magna, and I drive here to Granite Connection. So I drive about 13 or 14 miles to work every day. So here's my house in Magna, and here's the school, and let's draw a little flagpole at the school. There we go, flagpole. So here's school. Now, when I drive to work, I drive 13 miles. So it puts 13 miles on the odometer on my car, right? Now, when I drive home, let's see. When I drive home, now I drive negative 13 miles because it goes the other way. So that takes off 13 miles off my odometer. So my car never gets any mileage on it. Is that right? No, that's not right, is it? That's not right at all. When I drive home, I actually drive another 13 miles. So I drive 13 miles to work and I drive 13 miles home, because when you're counting distance, distance is always positive. Distance is always positive. Distance is always positive. Okay. I mean, really keep that in your head. Distance is always positive. So that means that it doesn't matter which direction I'm driving, distance is always positive. And what absolute value is it's asking you the distance. So the distance is going to be positive. Now, you can also think of these bars as make it positive, right? If you want to think of them that way, that's fine. The little bars mean everything inside is positive. I need some of those bars around me because I try to be positive. Sometimes I'm negative, but I try to be positive. Let's jump on to the next one. Now, this one's a little tricky. So let's look at the bars. The bars are right here. The bars say everything inside is positive. So you have an 89. That's positive. It was already positive. But then outside of that, you have a negative. So this says the opposite of a positive 89. Well, what's the opposite of a positive 89? Well, negative 89. Right? Now, how would this be different? Let's just think for a minute. What if this was the absolute value of negative 89, right? The absolute value of negative 89. That would be positive 89, because the negative would get taken away, because the negative is inside the bars that say make everything positive, right? The bars say make everything inside the bars positive. But here, the negative is not inside the bars. The negative is outside the bars, so the negative is not affected. The negative is still there. It's still there. All right, so let's kind of put this in fun, personal terms. Let's say that the bars here say that you are trying to keep yourself positive. So everything, this is you inside the bars. You're keeping yourself positive, but then there's something negative that's outside of you, right? This is outside of you. This is outside of your experience. It's out here. It's outside. So that negative experience can still affect you, right? Like, you're keeping yourself positive, but that negative thing out there, that could still be negative. It could still be a problem. I mean, you can deal with it, but it could still like flip your day upside down sometimes. Happens to me. All right, how about this one? The absolute value of negative 45. So the absolute value of negative 45, the bars say make everything inside positive. So the 45 you just take 45. Cool. Go to this one. Hey, can I give you oh no, let's just keep going. So the absolute value of 22 is 22. I'll show you another strategy here in a minute. How about this one? Take this one step at a time. So everything inside the bars is positive. So that means that this minus becomes plus, right? That minus becomes positive. So now we have the opposite of 77. Right. So the negative on the inside becomes positive, but the negative on the outside is still there, didn't go anywhere. Absolute value of 56, yeah, there you go. And then absolute value of 0. Let's go back to the definition of absolute value. Absolute value says because if we say is 0 positive or negative to begin with, it's neither. 0 is not positive, it's not negative. So if we think of absolute value as make it positive, then when we get to 0, we're confused because I don't know how to make 0 positive, right? Like you say, oh, I know, Albertson, we're going to make positive 0. That's not really a thing. I mean, 0 is right in between positive and negative. Positive is everything to the right of 0. Sorry, there we go. Everything to the right of 0, and negative is everything to the left of 0. So 0 is not positive or negative. So how would you find the absolute value of 0? Well, let's think about the definition. The definition of absolute value really is how far is it from 0? That's really the definition of absolute value. How far is 0 from 0? Well, it's not far at all. In fact, it's 0 spaces away. So the absolute value of 0 is 0. How about this one? The absolute value of x is negative 16. So what we're saying is what numbers, if you have this, like if this is a blank, right? We're saying I have a secret number that I want to put in here. What numbers could I put in here to make it true? Because I want to make a negative 16. Well, let's try some things. You know, it's got to be 16, right? It's got to be something like 16. So would it be this? Is the absolute value of negative 16 negative 16? No, because this would really be a positive 16. And is positive 16 equal to negative 16? It is not. So that can't be right. So it can't be negative 16. Could it be positive 16? No, because the absolute value of 16 is not negative 16. The absolute value of 16 is positive 16. So you say, well, can't I just put a negative out here? No, because what you're doing is you're replacing the x. You can't just put stuff anywhere you want. You have to just replace the x, and the x is between those bars. So you can't stick something out there. So is there anything you can put in here that would equal a negative 16? No, there's nothing you can put in there. Nothing you can put in there. It's not possible because anything you put in for x would become a positive number. That's what the bars mean. The bars mean x has to be positive in this problem because it has bars around it. And if x has to become a positive number, it'll never equal negative 16. It cannot. So what do? If there are no solutions, you enter DNE. And what does DNE stand for? Does not exist. There is no answer to this problem. So we put DNE. Okay, there's no number that'll work. Can't happen. All right, absolute value of 5 is 5. Absolute value of negative 4 is 4. The opposite of the absolute value of 9 is negative 9. The opposite of the absolute value of negative 7, so this would be the opposite of 7. There we go. Just kind of go slow. You can read about it. You can watch video. There's lots of helps attached in here. Now, when you get to tricky ones like this, let me show you 2 ways to do this. One way is to go ahead and do the subtraction. 28 minus 40. That's going to be the absolute. Here, let's do it over here. The absolute value of negative 12 is divided by, let's make that a little longer. The absolute value of negative 12 is divided by 4. Cool. So I just subtracted between those two right there. And then what is the absolute value of negative 12? That's just 12, and divided by 4, we can write it like that. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now, you might look at that and say, wow, that was really hard. I don't know if I can do that. Okay, well, let me show you another strategy. I'm going to pull in my tab here and get my cursor, pull this over here. And what's our favorite online calculator? Desmos. Desmos is so good, it works for lots of things. Can Desmos do absolute value? Yes. Better than most calculators. So let me pull my picture over here for a minute, and let's type this in. So if I click in the box, where's my keyboard? I'm going to have to make this bigger. No, I still can't see my keyboard. Well, I can't move this? All right, I'm going to hide those tools. Oh, that's going to hurt me later. Okay, well, if you just look here, it says show keypad. If I click the keypad, look right here in the lower left corner, it looks like the absolute value bars. Absolute value, 28 minus 40. And then see that little, it's very light gray, but this bar right there, I'm going to click past that little gray bar and then do divide by, and you can see there's a divide by key right here if you want. Divide by parentheses 4. You can type it in exactly the way you see it right here, and you can see that the answer is 3. Cool. And you could do that with all of these. You could type them into Desmos if you're getting too stuck. I'm just going to look at this one real quick, though. 5 plus negative 9. What is 5 plus negative 9? 5 plus negative 9, let's just do it over here. You could do 5 plus negative 9 is negative 4. And then you take the absolute value of that. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4. Or you want to type in the whole thing? All right, click this thing, 5 plus parentheses, negative 9, close the parentheses. Look, it's 4. It's the same. How about the next one? You do absolute value of 5. Well, you know that that's just going to be 5. And then plus the absolute value of negative 9. Well, you know that's going to be 9. So this is really just 5 plus 9, isn't it? Sorry, my picture's in the way. 5 plus 9, it's the same. So this one's going to be 14. All right, I believe that with Desmos, you should be able to do this. Oh, let's graph one. Oh, sorry, I was about ready to quit helping you. Here, I'm going to get my picture out of the way so you can see even better. So if we want to graph absolute value of x, let's just type that, absolute value of x. Now, why is it showing like this? Let's make a table of values. I hit the gear and make a table. The absolute value of x says take your x value and make it positive. So if you put a negative 2 for x, you get 2. You put minus 1x, minus 1, the absolute value of negative 1 is 1. The absolute value of 0 is 0. The absolute value of 1 is 1. So you take whatever number's on the left and you make it positive. So if I put negative 100, I get 100. If I put negative 1,000, 10,000, I get 10,000. Whatever number you pick on the left, you get a positive version on the right. And look at what shape that makes. This makes this square V that goes through 0. Why 0? Because the absolute value of 0 is 0. So let's make this a little larger here. So we already know, I got to pick the right tool, don't I? So I need to pick this square V tool right here. And you want to click, look at the picture. You're going to click at the vertex. That's where it bends. That's where it changes. And then one other point. So I'm going to click at the vertex and then one other point. And the absolute value of 1 is 1. The absolute value of 2 is 2. The absolute value of 3 is 3. So that's working fine. So now let's talk about the domain. The domain says how far left and right does this pattern go? Well, I'm going to tell you it goes as far left as you want. Here, let's write that better. I put 0. That's not right. It goes from negative infinity. It means it goes as far left as you want, and it goes as far right as you want. What are we really saying? We're saying pick the most negative number you can think of, and I can make it positive, right? That's what domain means, is how far left can you do this thing that we're doing? What's the smallest negative number that you can pick? I don't know, negative a billion, trillion, quadzillion, whatever. Fine, I make it positive a billion, trillion, quadzillion, whatever. You pick the most negative number you want, I can make it positive. And the same thing's true on the right. What's the most positive number that I can make positive? You pick any number you want, I can make it positive. That means the domain is unlimited. That's what this negative infinity to infinity means, is there's no limits. It can go forever in both directions. Now the range. How low can this pattern go? Well, look at the graph. It can't go negative. Why? Because the bars mean you're going to make it positive. So the range, that means this blue pattern, how low can it go? The lowest it can go is 0. That's the lowest it can go. And how high can it go? Well, as high as you want. But make sure you put a round bracket on the range, because infinity does not have a square bracket because you can't get to infinity. So the range goes from 0 as high as you want. So that's what this says, 0 and anything larger. Okay, let's try the next question. How about this one? The absolute value of 5 times x. So let's take the first one. If you have -4, this is the absolute value of 5 times -4. 5 times -4 is -20, and then you make that positive, so it'd be 20. So it's just 5 times 4, make it positive, right? 5 times 2, make it positive. 5 times 2, make it positive. 5 times 4, make it positive, right? 5 times that number and make it positive. How about this one? So if you have the absolute value of x, which ones of these down here are less than 6? So is the absolute value of 0 less than 6? Yeah, because it's 0. Is the absolute value of -13 less than 6? No, because the absolute value of -13 is a positive 13, and positive 13 is not less than 6. How about -2? Is the absolute value of -2 less than 6? Yeah, because the absolute value of -2 is a positive 2, and positive 2 is less than 6. Is 6 less than 6? No. Is 15 less than 6? No. Which ones are greater than 6? Is 0 greater than 6? No. Is 13 greater than 6? Yeah. Is 15 greater? So notice that it's basically the opposite answers, except 6 is not in either of those, because 6 is not less than 6 and 6 is not greater than 6. Woo! One more. This one says -1 times the absolute value of x. Let's bring our Desmos back over here. So here we have -1 times the absolute value of x. What happened? It just flipped over. Why did it flip over? Well, because it's really the opposite of the absolute value of x. Let's make a table out of this guy. So here we go. This says you take your x, you're going to make it positive, but then you're going to make it negative, right? So you take your x, you take whatever the x value is, you make it positive, and then once it's positive, you make it negative all over again. So that means that every answer now has to be negative because you made it positive and then you took the opposite of that. So let's just try a number here. Let's try 100. 100 becomes positive. It was already positive, but then it becomes negative because there's a negative out front. What if it was a -100? Well, it's still negative. Look, doesn't matter. Positive, like your answers are going to come out negative no matter what. Let's go over here. Graph it. So, oops, wrong tool. So click your absolute value tool. Looks like this sharp V, and then you're going to put it. It's going to be 0, 0, and then any other point. There we go. And that's it. That's your quiz. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can stop this video.